All right, hello everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thanks for joining us today as we introduce you to what's new in Lightroom 4. We have a great speaker, Stephen Burns, and before I introduce him, I'd like to just go over a couple housekeeping items. This session will be recorded, and we will send out the recording and also post it on our website at www.macmall.com next week. Also, there is going to be time for a question and answer session today, so if you have any questions, please either use the Q&A panel or the chat panel. Both can be found on the right side of your screen. If you have any audio issues today and are listening through your speaker computers, we do have a toll-free phone number that you can call, and that's 1-877-668-4493. The access code is 641-737-161, and the audio through that line is crystal clear. So now I'd like to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, and our speaker is Stephen Burns. Stephen, his website is www.chromeillusion.com, and he is the president of the San Diego Photoshop Users Group and the most recent instructor to the Light Photo Workshops. He has written several books. Among them are Photoshop CS5 Trickery in FX, The Art of Poser 2010 Pro and Photoshop CS5, and then Advanced Photoshop CS2, 3, 4, Trickery in FX, and so on. He has several others, so we encourage you to visit his website and check those out. Stephen discovered the same passion for the digital medium as he did for photography as an art form. His background began as a photographer 28 years ago and in time has progressed toward the digital medium. His artistic influences include the great abstractionists and the surrealists, including Jackson Pollock, Wassily Kandinsky, Pablo Picasso, Franz Klein, Mark Roscoe, Mark Tobey, just to name a few. Stephen Burns has been a corporate instructor and lecturer in the application of digital art and design for the past 15 years. He has been exhibiting digital fine art internationally at galleries such as the Durban Art Museum in South Africa, Citizens Gallery in Yokohama, Japan, and the Museum of Mexico, to name a few. Part of his exhibiting won him first place in the prestigious Siebold International Digital Arts Contest. He teaches digital manipulation workshops in the San Diego area and is an instructor, and he has a website that we will show you later on in the presentation. And then you'll also see him instruct regularly at SIGGRAPH. So now, without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get started. So Stephen, I'm going to pass it over to you. You can go ahead and share your screen if you'd like.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, one question. I'm looking for the place on here to share the screen. I don't have a button. Does everybody see my screen?
No, not yet. You should have.
Not yet? That's interesting.
So if you go to is there a tab, Quick Start?
There is, and okay, there we go. It looked grayed out there for one moment. Okay, fantastic. This is great. I hate these little glitches in the very beginning of the webinars. Webinars always make me so nervous because there's so many little things that can go wrong. And I've attended webinars with very prominent speakers where things just went absolutely wrong. So so far everything's been going right. Thank you everybody for coming. I'm Stephen Burns. And if you're not familiar with me, I'm just going to quickly just put up here my webpage, chromeillusion.com, and we'll talk more about this a little bit later on. And I'm going to be talking about, some of the newer features in Lightroom 4 that I particularly like. And this webinar is going to focus on the new features and the general workings of Lightroom. The next webinar we're going to do, I believe it's on the 27th, and I will be sending out notices, and MacMall will also be sending out reminder notices as well. We will be focusing on the creative applications of Lightroom 4. This is going to include using the Develop module and its raw editing capabilities to apply artistic effects to your images, but it's also going to include working between Lightroom and Photoshop, doing magic in Photoshop, bringing it back into Lightroom, using the current Lightroom 4. So I will come back to the web page a little bit. You can take a look at this on your own. And let's go on in here into Lightroom 4. All right, I'm a beta tester for Adobe, and I'm really quite impressed with the new programs that they're actually putting out there this year. I've always been impressed with the upgrades that they've made every 2 years or every year and a half when they release these things. But I believe that Adobe is really listening to their customers and is trying to advance this technology so that it's a lot easier and a lot practical. Lightroom is not just for photographers, so I'm hoping what I'm going to do is I'm going to convince a whole lot of you that you really do need to have this program in your arsenal of tools, side-by-side Photoshop. Now, I'm going to talk a little more about why you need Lightroom today. But first, I'm going to talk about some of the new features in Lightroom. At least I'm going to talk about some of my favorite features in Lightroom. Now, in general, Lightroom is a database management program. As you can see here, I have in my library view an image view of all of the various digital imagery that I've imported into the database in Lightroom. Now, this is something that Photoshop does not have. Lightroom, the foundation of Lightroom is it's run by a database that we call a catalog. We're currently working in the catalog called the What's New in Lightroom 4 well, here we go. We'll just go right here. What's New in Lightroom 4? And I know that because it's listed right up here on the very top left-hand corner. And if I go to my File menu, Open Recents, it tells you what Lightroom, what version I'm working in or what catalog I'm working in. Now, without the catalog, we no longer have Lightroom. Just keep that in mind. Basically, Lightroom is Adobe Camera Raw and Bridge put together in one program managed by a database. Let's go over into some of the new features in Lightroom that I particularly like. One of them that caught my eye was this soft proofing feature. Let's go and select an image. I'm going to scroll down here. How about if we grab this one, and I'm going to hit the D key for the Develop module, and it's going to bring my image, maximize it, so we're working with one image at a time, and we get the Develop module options right over here. Now, in our Develop module, this is where we can actually start applying a lot of the magic, the color corrections, the tonal management, and also let's keep in mind that we have shadows, midtones, and highlights. This is how Lightroom is working all the time. I'm going to share with you a little bit as to what we're seeing here in terms of these gamut warnings as well in just a little bit. But right now I want to talk about the soft proofing. This is a feature that I thought was really handy for Lightroom because for those of us who are printing our own work and even most of us who are sending our work out to other labs, the soft proofing feature is going to be very, very handy. Now, what it is doing is allowing you to preview what it would look like if you're going to print with a particular profile or print with a particular type of a paper. Right down here in the bottom left, we have the soft proofing. If you let your mouse hover right over that long enough, it gives you the shortcut. It gives you the name and the shortcut being S. I highly recommend that you learn your shortcut. I'm going to hit the S now, and that is going to send me into the soft proofing mode. And immediately, it's giving me a color of my paper that I'm going to be using. Now, you should notice that what mode am I working in here? I'm working with profiles here. Once I'm soft proofing, this is really all about viewing your image with a particular profile. Right beneath your histogram, your profile is going to be listed. In my opinion, it's a little bit hard to find sometimes. When I went looking for the profile, I often had a tendency to miss it, and I came scrolling down here looking for where that profile is when I first started working with the program. After a while, you get used. Just remember, just right down here and select the profile option. For some reason, I have another semi-gloss for my HP130 or these various printer, and I'm going to set it for the Adobe RGB 1998. Now I'm viewing this in that particular mode. As you seen, there was a slight change here. And let's go do that again. Go to the profile, and let's select another profile. How about this, the HP Photo Satin driver? Select it, watch the image, and as you can see, there was a slight little change there. Let's go get another profile. If we click on Other, it goes to that location that I call, at least for my calibration class and my Lightroom class, Profile Heaven. And this is where all profiles go whenever you want to be read by any program. They sit in this folder under the C drive, Windows, and I'm in Windows, of course. And your Mac, when you click that, it's going to give you the location for your Mac. But in Windows, System 32, Spool Drivers, Color, and then your profiles are listed under the color category. And all of your profiles are in there. If I scroll down, you get to see a variety of profiles. Let's go ahead and scroll this out more so you can see all of my profiles. And any profile that you purchase or buy or create yourself will go inside of the color folder inside this location on the drive. All right, so if I want to select another profile, how about if we go for something like the 4800, and as a paper for this one, I'm going to click it and click OK, and let's see what we get. All right, so it became slightly warmer and slightly reddish. I want to see a comparison between my HP drivers. I select this one here, and you can see this one has become flatter, and there's a slight color change. So this is just giving you a way to proof or to preview what you would see before you actually print it. All right, so how about another little feature that I really enjoy quite a bit? I really like the GPS feature. Now, some of my associates say, hey, you know, GPS is just a cheesy little technique. I think it's really handy in keeping yourself organized. Lightroom is primarily an organized database organizational program, and this GPS function really helps with that. Let's go ahead and hit the G key for the grid view, and I'm going to select some GPS data. Now, over in my textures menu, I know I have a few images here that I've downloaded the GPS data for. Now, I'm going to select them. They're right here, and they're graffiti that I've taken underneath the bridge. Actually, it's this right here, the bridge, and if I double-click on it, you get to see that I've created a panel of this. Let's go back to my grid view, and I have an HDR panel of all of these series of imagery, which I will stitch as a HDR as well as a panel. But I shot this in a particular location here in San Diego. So I'm going to select all these, and what I like to do is I like to save everything that I want to work with, and any of these additional modules, I'm going to click this right up in here, any of these additional modules, I'd like to create a collection. So in this particular case, I wanted to create a collection from these photos, and I already have done so. I called it GPS test, and it says 9 photos are inside. And if you want to do it with your imagery, select the imagery that you know is going to be or was shot in a particular location, and go right over here to the plus on the right-hand side of collections and create a collection of those images. And make sure you include those selected photos, and they will be included in the nomenclature right up in here is where you're going to place that you're going to include in your collections. So I'm going to click Cancel because I've already done so. Now, I'm going to select the GPS test, and only those photos are going to come up. So once that is done, I'm going to access my map module. Select it. All right. Now, immediately, because I've already placed the address in here, and just to save time on this webinar, I only have about 45 to 50 minutes, I went ahead and placed an address already, zoomed in where I was, and this is a road here in San Diego that accesses a bridge that is no longer utilized. In fact, these are getting closer, there are roadblocks here. However, I can park my car right over here to the side. I can walk down underneath the bridge, and there's all this bright, colorful graffiti underneath the bridge. But I want to keep myself organized as to where I place things. Now, I can do this in a couple of different ways. Making sure that all of these are selected. I'm going to, they're already selected. I'm going to access my GPS track data that I exported from my GPS device or your phone. I can load that tracking data here, load track logs. I saved my track log inside the main folder where I placed all my photos. I called it GPS track log. So if I click on load, and inside my 0 new Lightroom 4 folder, which is where I'm placing all of my images, I created a new folder, once again, GPS track log, and inside there I placed in new log. All right, so I can quickly access this for the webinar. You're going to call it, something, that's indicative to where you are, like Death Valley, Stovepipe Well, Sand Dunes, or the Adirondack Mountains, or whatever you would like. So I'm going to double-click it, and once I click it, you see this blue line here that's actually loading the tracking data, which is indicating how we moved throughout this particular area of the photograph. Now, and I'm going to just mention a little caveat here, since I was underneath the bridge, this isn't totally accurate, but the basic vicinity is fairly accurate, all right? So I can select the photos on tracking as well. Okay, I have nothing selected so far, so keep in mind that we have this option. So what I want to do is I want to place these photos right near where I want them to be. So select them all, and I can do this in a couple of different ways. I can select them, and I can actually drag them on here, which will actually be wise for this particular situation. Since the track log isn't completely accurate, I'll place them all right here. And it's going to ask me, what do I want to do? I want to place the entire selection or just the original selected photo. Go ahead and place the entire selection. All right, so it's going to ask me, do I want to provide an inverse or reverse geocoding? Basically saying, all right, you didn't exactly, there was no geocode attached to these photos because my camera, which is a Canon 60D, does not have, as far as I'm aware of, does not have GPS device built into it. Now, if I drag photos here, it recognizes there is no GPS information in the photos. How about take it, the GPS data that you have accessed here from your map, and actually embed them into your photos. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. Go ahead and click Enable. It says, all right, it's enabled, and click OK, and there are my images. All right, so I've got 3 here. I have another 3 here, and another 3 here. All right, so it's doing its best to kind of to organize the information. It's not totally accurate, once again, but no big deal. So if I notice there's a 3 inside here, you select it, you get to see what a thumbnail image that is actually targeting. If I click on the 3, it will highlight those photos right down in here. If I get another set of 3, and which it should highlight the next set, there we go, and select this 3, it highlights this final set right about in here. Okay, so, and if you're not quite sure what the visual designation is, it's right over here, a nice little, window that tells you what's in selected photo, unselected photo, and of course what the numbers mean, and the search unit, and so forth. All right, so how do I know what the GPS coordinates are? If I select on the image and come right over here to the right-hand side, it brings up the metadata for that particular image, and we have the GPS information located right here. If I click right over here to the arrow on the right-hand side, it just basically tracks us, centers the location that we're actually selecting. All right, so I think this is a real nice functionality in terms of further organizing your location and utilizing your metadata more effectively so that whenever you want to go back to a particular location, pops up here on the map, you start making your arrangements in terms of how you want to start your trip, where you want to shoot, what angle, what time of day, and so forth. All right, so what else is kind of that's new in Lightroom 4 that I'm fairly attracted to? I do like the video module. I like not the video module, but the video capability. There is no video module in Lightroom, but we do have video capabilities. Let's go hit the G key for the grid view. And I created a new folder called Movies. And this is not, you know, an award-winning short film here, but just a simple little video that I've taken with my 60D of a plant in my backyard. It's just a very short one. I'm going to double-click on it to open it up. Now, by default, this is what you see. Now, let me go back to grid view real quickly here. This is kind of cool also. You can actually scrub this in your thumbnail view. Now, so that you can get a better view, a better idea of what I'm seeing, I'm going to zoom in really close in the grid view, and if I move the mouse back and forth, it's scrubbing along, and I'm not clicking on it at all. I'm just allowing the mouse to hover above the thumbnail, and it goes back and forth. Now, I'm using these very, very short clips. I can't imagine how much memory this is going to take if you're importing very long clips, short commercials or short films and so forth. But Lightroom allows you to do a little bit of some video editing capabilities. Now let me show you exactly what it does. And I don't particularly consider it video editing capabilities. It's just simple little things that you can do in Lightroom that can help you with your workflow in terms of your video clip files. And this is really going to be handy for the video files that you're creating from your SLR cameras because it supports a wide range of formats. Now, I have an MOV, which I've taken with my 60D. And if I click the play button, the sound is playing as well as the video. So it's just a simple little compositional study of I believe these are yucca plants. I'm not a plant man, so don't hold me on that, but I believe there's a nice yucca plant in my backyard. It was a day after it rained. It was overcast, and I was playing around with some compositional ideas for some still photography, and I thought, hey, I could probably use this for the tutorial for the video in Lightroom 4. All right, so it's done, and once again, it's very short. Now, as I mentioned before, by default, you have this nice thin view of the timeline here. I'm going to click this in the very far right-hand corner, the trim video mode, select it, and we get to see our individual frames. So I can scrub through this by dragging across. And I can do some other cool things as well. If I decide that I want the mascot for this video to be this frame right here, for instance, right down here in the bottom to the left-hand side of this option for extending our timeline, I have what's called set the poster frame. Now, if you take a look at the poster frame currently, it's using the first frame of the video. Right down here in the bottom left-hand corner, it's giving us how many seconds the video is actually in length, so 30 seconds in length. Now, I want to set the poster frame to something a little bit different. So I'm going to go right over here and set the poster frame, sit back and relax. There it is. The poster frame has been set. So if you're doing a short little commercial or something and you want the poster frame to be a close-up of your main actor or actress, you can set that. Scroll the timeline, go to wherever you want to be, and then set that as your poster frame, and make it a little bit easier for you to identify your various videos, access them right away. What else can we do with this? Well, as I mentioned, this is not truly a video editing program, but it will give you a few features here. Well, not a few features, but especially when it comes to trimming. I can set the point of where the video begins and where the video ends with these sliders. So I can scroll this over the middle somewhere, set my beginning point, my end point, and my out point to wherever in the video that I like, and I can export just this clip. Now, if you are working on, remembering your shortcuts, if I remember correctly, if I place my scrub line right about there, and if I hold the shift and the I for in, it should, automatically snap my endpoint right to the trim line. If I go to the trim line over to here, make it like a little bit thinner right about there, and hit Shift O for out, it'll bring it on in. And now I can export this. Now, how do I export? Just like we export all of our photos, no different. We have our import button here. We've got the export button here. If we hit the export button, we'll come through here and explore what you can do, export location, the file naming. This is going to be very similar to what you already know how to do using Lightroom with your still files. So I'm not going to go over this all extensively. And here are your video formats right about here. Okay, so come through here, play around with this, and again, it's not extensive video editing in terms of cutting and trimming and all of that, but it just allows you to do a quick little preview of your video files and then decide, clean it up very quickly in the beginning and end point and export it out. And then you can take it into something like Premiere Pro and start doing your real video editing. Now, further on that note, on video editing, we're working with still digital images, and we can apply in our develop module all of the features such as controlling the white tones and the black tones and all the individual colors and contrast and sharpness and so forth, all the capabilities of any raw editing program. Can that be done in video? Well, let's give this a try. If I hit the develop module or the D key on my keyboard, and what is this telling you there? Now, this is a little confusing to me as someone who's going to be using Lightroom for editing and on a professional basis of organizing and editing all of my content. It tells me that video is not supported here, but yet there's this workaround where it is supported. I was playing around with it a little bit here, and I'm going to delete this here. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do. Let's go back to the G key for the grid view, and I'm going to select my video. Okay, I'm going to double click on it, select the video. I'm going to delete this one here so it doesn't confuse anybody. And I'm going to let's go ahead and just select this one, and if I hit the delete key on my keyboard, I'm going to just remove that, not delete from this, just go ahead and just remove that from the from our catalog. All right, so there's my original video. Now, how in the world can I actually apply the actual develop settings that we can normally apply to a still image to my video? Now, this was cool. This is something I picked up from Julian Cost. And it made sense, but it didn't make sense. I mean, I understand why the functionality has to happen, but in the future, I would really like to see the video to be treated no differently than a single file. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Right up here, go back up to this window, and where I had to set the poster frame, I have a capture frame. What this does is going to make a virtual image of my video, whichever frame I have selected for my video. If I hit capture frame, it takes the first frame of my video.